Hi and welcome to Run Tall with Tim. I'm Tim and today I'm comparing two great daily training running shoes, the Hoka Mach 4 versus the Puma Velocity Nitro. Now before I get into it too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in the shoes that I'm about to review. So let's do that, but then when we come back together, we're going to take a real close look at the Mach 4 and the Velocity Nitro to try to answer the question, which one might be right for you? If you're new to the channel, I post running videos on both Wednesday and Saturday mornings, and that's at 5 a.m. Standard Eastern Time here in the US. I also like to post bonus videos once in a while, but I never know what day of the week that's going to be or what time. So if you enjoy running shoe reviews and other videos related to running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Also, if you want to try to save yourself a little time, I tried to make that easy for you. If you open a description, there you're going to see I've created chapters. Just click on a timestamp for the part of the video that you want to watch, and it's going to take you right there. Now this video is not intended to be a full review of either shoe, but if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description below to reviews that I've completed for each shoe previously. So let's start with the cost. The Hoka Mach 4s cost $130 US, while the Velocity Nitros come in at $120. Weight-wise, the Mach 4s are lighter. They come in at 7.9 ounces for men's size 9 on my scales, or 223 grams, while the Velocity Nitro comes in at 9.1 ounces, or 258 grams. Fit-wise, I would order true to size for both shoes. However, the Velocity Nitros do run a little bit long. So when I use my thumb width as a gauge and I put it up against my longest toe and measure that distance between there and the end of the shoe, they're just a little bit longer than my thumb's width. Not so long that I would order a half size down, but it is noticeable. Talking about the midsection of the shoes now, I did get a lockdown feeling across the midsection of each shoe. That wasn't a concern. The biggest difference in the feeling is with the Velocity Nitros, I feel like my foot is more wrapped into the shoe, more like a burrito, for lack of a better example. And here's why. So as we look at the outsole of these two shoes, you can see that the Velocity Nitro is much thinner in that midsection of the shoe. And so your upper actually, when it's sewed into that outsole or down in the midsole of the shoe, your foot is is hanging off that midsole a bit, and then so it's wrapping up around and over your foot, so you get that burrito feeling. While the Hoka Mach 4s, being wider, the upper is going more straight up and over and around, so it's more wrapped that way as opposed to being wrapped around your entire foot. And that is noticeable. You do feel, I think you get a bit more of a racing feel maybe in the Puma Velocity Nitros than you do in the Hokas, but both were comfortable. I really enjoy the fit of the Mach 4s. I still think that this is probably the best fitting upper that Hoka has made to date for me in terms of the fit. But again, you're going to feel, I think, more wrapped in the Velocity Nitro than you do in the Hoka Mach 4s. The room in the toe box, they're pretty equivalent. I had plenty of room to display my toes. I didn't have any issues there at all. It was really comfortable. As we look at the eyelet chain on each of them, the biggest difference is the Nitros, they just have more space between the eyelets than we do in the Hokas, and you can see that there. Now, what that could mean later on down the road is because you have more lace going across your foot, is that on longer runs, you might start to feel that lace maybe on the top of your foot, and this tongue is fairly thin, so that is a concern that I have going forward. But so far in the experience that I've had on these, they've been really comfortable, and I haven't felt like those laces were digging into the top of my foot at all. But it is something that I'm going to pay attention to going forward, as I put more miles on these shoes. Now, these are much more close together. Hoka tends to have these lace enclosure systems come pretty close together like that. I've seen it in the Carbon X2 and the Rocket X and some of those shoes so much so I think they've overdone it. They could probably use a little bit more space there, but these seem to be just about right. I haven't had any issues so far in lacing them up and getting that secure lockdown feeling across the midfoot. The tongue on both of these shoes, they're about equivalent. They're both padded about the same. They're both fairly thin. They both lay flat on my feet. The one notable difference is the Velocity Nitro is a full gusset, while the Hoka Mach 4 is a semi-gusseted tongue. But, they're both really comfortable. Again, they both laid flat on my feet, and I didn't have any issues with that at all. Looking at the padding around the heel collar and the tab, I think that there's more padding around the Velocity Nitro up in that area. It's a more traditional type of padding system that they have there. It's that pillow style that's right up around the heel collar and around the tab of the shoe. And it does have a very traditional heel counter there where it comes up. While the Hoka is, maybe a little less padding, it's still got that kind of that traditional pillow style of padding up around the heel collar, but I think there's just a little bit less of it there. But they do have that big Achilles heel flare that's anatomically correct. I've come to really enjoy that, but I know not every runner enjoys this heel flare that's become so popular in shoes lately. And you can use this as a pull tab to get your shoe on, where this doesn't have one, but I haven't had any big issues getting my shoes on, so not a big deal that way. Turning now and looking at the structure in the heel counter. With the Hokas, they've got more structure here. They've got a good deal of plastic overlay around that heel counter, and you can see that I can barely squeeze that together. Or if I turn it and try to push forward, there is just a ton of material there that creates a nice solid heel pocket for you to set in. I found it to be really comfortable. With the Velocity Nitros, not quite as much material there. They don't have that same type of plastic overlay on the outside. And then also if I go forward with it, you can see that, it's a little bit easier to push that in. Still, I felt like I had a nice pocket to set in. There just isn't as much structure in the heel counter with the Velocity Nitros as there is in the Hoka Mach 4s. Now turning, and we'll take a look at the midsole on both of these shoes. And, we've got, with the Hoka, we have the Pro Fly foam up at the top. And then we have a more dense rubberized EVA foam underneath there. And it has a 5mm offset from the heel to the toe. The Velocity Nitro they have a more dense material in the heel, but then they have their Nitro foam that runs right underneath your foot and sits on top of that more dense foam in the heel. Then it comes down around all the way up through to your forefoot. Also, you'll notice in the heel that they have this plastic clip there. Now that only goes up just a little ways, up to about the start of your midfoot, but it does add some stability to the heel, and I found it to be really comfortable to run in. Now these have an 8mm offset from the heel to the toe, while again the Hoka has a 5mm offset, so there is a difference there. But both are really soft and comfortable to run in. Between the two, however, the Hoka Mach 4 I think is a softer feeling underfoot, more cushioned. It's really interesting when you're running in these shoes, because with the Hokas they have this swallowtail heel that they have, and they've got quite a heel bevel here. And so when I transition from my heel to the toe, it's really smooth, and because this foam is so soft, it is a very smooth transition from your heel to the toe. And they've got an early stage meta rocker, so they start sculpting that foam way back, right at the metatarsal head of your foot. So that felt really comfortable. With the Velocity Nitros, they too are very comfortable underfoot, but you don't have that big heel bevel here. In fact, you've got a more dense foam in the heel. So while it is comfortable and smooth to transition through your gait cycle, I feel like I get more of a bounce off that heel when I'm going through. So I do feel like the Velocity Nitros have a bit more energy return, a little more pop or kick to help you move a little quicker through your gait cycle than the Hoka Mach 4s do. In terms of the outsoles of these shoes, Hoka is using that rubberized EVA foam as their outsole. For these, time will tell. Right now they're holding up pretty well, for the most part. I haven't noticed any big gouges or anything like that with that outsole material. With the Velocity Nitros, now they have their Puma grip on the outside, and they've got a ton of it. So there's no concern at all about the longevity of the outsole on this shoe. And it's actually, it's fairly thick, and it's got some pretty aggressive lugs, both in the forefoot of the shoe and even in the heel if you take a look around. And they've got a little bit of their exposed, foam there in the midsection of the shoe, which, that always gives you a little bit of a trampoline effect, because when you land, it kind of gives you that bounce as it propels you forward. Hoka too has that same type of design, so they're similar in that respect, as far as having that groove in the outsole material. Overall, I would say that the Hoka Mach 4 is faster, and I think that has everything to do with the weight of the shoe. I ran some speed repeats in these shoes the other day, and they just did terrific. They felt really comfortable. And like I said, it's a really smooth ride through your gait cycle, as you strike the ground. And I think, if you're a heel striker, and you're worried about the cushion feel underfoot, the Hoka Mach 4 with that dovetail heel and that rubberized outsole material along with that Pro Fly foam, the combination of those two is just a really soft, comfortable feeling. Now, I didn't ever feel like I was getting caught up in that overly cushioned, feeling of the shoe. I still felt like it was really responsive. However, with the Velocity Nitros, with that more dense foam in the heel of their shoe, as I mentioned, I feel like I get a lot of pop through there. But I think the weight just kind of holds it back from being a quicker shoe, but it is snappy. So between the two, the Hoka Mach 4 for me is a speed work shoe. Now, I can run a lot more miles in it, but I also like to have the Velocity Nitro for some of the places that I run. So while they're both really versatile shoes and can accomplish a lot of your daily tasks that you want to do, I'm going to be using the Mach 4 for that speed work. For this shoe, for the Velocity Nitro, I'm going to be using that to do more of my longer daily workout activities, especially when I go out to my state park, when I'm going to be transitioning from the road to the trail, because I like that more aggressive lugs that they have on the outsole. For the Velocity Nitro, it's not just versatile in terms of the workouts you can perform, but it's also versatile in the type of terrain that you're running on. So that's why it's going to be one of my first choices when I go out to my state park to run, just so I can tackle some of the trails as well as the road and pavement that they have out there underfoot. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.